So how did you come up with your band name?
Well, shit, let me think. It's been a long time. I think it was when we were younger kids and stuff, before we'd go out or anything like that, we'd go out in Hollywood and there's a lot of gangsters and prostitutes and drug dealers, and we didn't understand why they were up all night, so we used to call them the Undead, and because that's what we equated it to, it was like a movie. And so we started the band, we thought of the Undead, and then we just put Hollywood in front of it because that's where we're from.
Nice.
Yeah, it's alright. And now we're all drug addicts ourselves. It worked out perfectly. Good.
So what's the history behind the nicknames?
Well, we always called each other that kind of actually before the band ever started. I think it was part of just our music culture and stuff like that. We would always listen to a lot of hip hop and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so the way we figured it is you needed a nickname.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
It worked for us.
So what about you? What's the story behind yours?
The name of our first band was called Three Tiers, so I always called myself Johnny Three Tiers.
Alright, cool. So where did you get the idea to perform with masks?
Well, when we started the band up, it was, one of our later bands. We'd already been in quite a few together, and none of them really, done what we wanted them to do. And so when we started Hollywood Undead, we knew we were kind of doing something different right from the start. I mean, not our there were always typical rock bands before that, and we were trying to add, I guess, the elements of hip hop and stuff that we'd always listened to but never had an opportunity to incorporate. And so we knew we were doing something different, so I guess we wanted to look different as well, and something that engaged people visually just as much as musically.
Nice.
Yeah.
So did you use any particular inspirations while working on the new record? If so, what were they?
No, I honestly make a real concerted effort not to listen to music when we're tracking, because involuntarily you could start. A melody will come in your head that you think you just wrote. Mm-hmm. Well, really subconsciously you just heard it, a week before on some record you were listening to. Because a lot of bands do explore, hey, let's listen to this or that. I find, that's strictly personal. For me personally, I try and the only time I listen or do anything having to do with music is when we're in the studio. So I don't get distracted, or one day a song is perfect to you, and then the next day you think you got to do something with it again or fix it or something.
Alright.
It's not like this one, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this one definitely sounded a little bit different than the others.
Well, what we try and do is we just try and get in the right space and room and stuff. We kind of get hippie-esque, which I know a lot of people would be surprised with what our music is. But the environment plays a big part, and we always stay in Hollywood, in the area where we first started when we record, because I don't live there anymore. I've moved, but I think the being around that environment helps us to recreate the things that made us start. And so, we get into the candle thing, a lot of the same thing. People drink and do their thing to loosen up creatively, like everybody does. But yeah, I mean, it's a different kind of way to write a record.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Yeah.
So when composing a song, where do you get your ideas from, and how do they evolve?
Composing a song, I mean, most of the times, honestly, I come up with song ideas while we're touring and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sorry, it's so noisy. That lady's walking behind us and stuff.
It's all good.
But, when we compose, I kind of write, for this and me personally, I get skeletons and stuff for songs while we tour on a record. So once we're done with the record, we usually tour for a year roughly or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or a year and a half, and during that time period I come up with the skeletons for other songs, because it's actually really nice writing on the road, or getting those things together, because I'll be all sitting up in the front of the bus till 6 in the morning some nights because I can't sleep.
Yeah.
And you have the open road, the Rockies in front of you. It's man, I should use this for creative purposes. So a lot of times I'll write like that, and then we get home and go into the studio and enhance the ideas or properly track them. But everybody's different. I mean, I couldn't say anything about anybody else's creative process.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
What do you do during your downtime?
write the next record. So there's not really downtime. If we're not touring, we start right when we're done touring. You know, we'll take a month off or something after a touring cycle. Excuse me.
Yeah.
We'll take like 3 weeks or a month off, and then we'll go into the studio to start tracking the next one, because that takes another 6 months.
Yeah.
To write, and then mixing. By the time you've done all that, it's been a year since your last release, and you still have to promote it. So you kind of, in order to have a record out every year to year and a half, you have to you always either have to be touring or writing. I mean, there's not like you could take breaks. And we're not one of those bands that's in a position, hey, let's take a year off.
Yeah.
Even if I was, I couldn't think of a reason I'd want to. I think we just go until we go, and then when we're bored of doing it, we'll just stop doing it altogether.
All right.
You know?
Yeah.
Pedal the metal, honey.
Oh yeah. Biggest influences. Sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. Musically or otherwise?
Both, I suppose.
My biggest influences have never been really musical. They've always been writers and stuff that I've liked. I really like Dostoevsky and some of those Russian dudes from the Industrial Revolution, because they're really dark and they're all drunks and shit. So when I used to read it when I was 14, 15, I know I could never write like that. No one can now, alive today, as far as I know.
Yeah.
So I figured I'd take the messages, at least that I felt, and the only way I could figure out a way to communicate something on my own in that measure, because I obviously can't write that well, was to turn it into music, which was the one thing I knew how to do. So most of my influences were never other bands or along in the musical line.
All right. No, it's definitely different from what I normally hear.
Well, those guys are dipshits. Especially those Yeti guys that you were talking to.
Oh, totally.
My best buddies, but
They're
yeah, no, I mean, most guys don't read that stuff or enjoy that stuff. So, I mean, it's always kind of been a part of what I do.
All right, cool. All right, last question. What does music mean to you?
On a personal level, I mean, music is one of the few things that keep me sane. I mean, that give me the constant ability to express myself, and I know for a fact that if I wasn't doing it, even no matter what, if I got a job, making $10 million a year and playing baseball, although I love baseball, I know eventually it would come to a head, because it's the one thing that I feel relaxes me.
Yeah.
Or makes me feel relief in certain situations. So I mean, that's what it means to me personally. It's my 24-hour-a-day therapy. But as far as being in a band in that sense goes, the thing that means the most to me is when I was a kid and stuff, and I used to go to a lot of shows when I was a teenager. That's all there is to do. You can't drink yet when you're 16, 15. So no, it's fine, Craigslist. It's okay, Craig.
I was just trying to find something to heat some water.
So when you go to shows, and then you're doing it yourself, and kids care, I guess, in the same way that you did when you were young. That's gratifying.
Yeah.
It's okay. That was Craig from Escape of Fate. He's another one of my heroes. He's a beautiful man. Beautiful cock on that guy. Nice cock. That's also one of my biggest inspirations is Craig from Escape the Fate's cock. That's all we have time for. No, I'm just kidding.
That'll be an interesting ending there.
Yeah, that was the point. No, we can go on.
All right, yeah, that was actually the last question.
Oh, perfect. So,
Yeah.
Craig's cock.
Yeah, Craig's cock, there we go.
Well, nice meeting you.
It was nice meeting you too.